Good afternoon. My name is Mo Sattar. I teach at Baypath University, a small private university in Massachusetts, all women's college. Our undergraduate is women's college, but our graduate is co-ed. Majority of our graduate students in most of our management type programs, I would say about 80+% are women student. I'm currently a doctoral student at Pace University. My faculty advisor, the co-author is Dr. Richardson, also at Pace University. The title of the paper is Examining Perception of Male Mentor Effectiveness Based on Female Protege Career Stage. Being a practitioner in the management for a long time, if I would describe it as a practitioner's version of the title, it would be Are the older men versus younger men more effective as mentors for the adult woman? My focus for research over the last few years, especially in the last couple of years, has been in career, and that's what I am focusing on for my dissertation. And in career, as we know, there are multiple pieces that play a role in one's success, be objective career, subjective career, and so on. The focus of this research is that I will discuss today is on mentoring effectiveness as a function of life stages and gender. So my goal is, as I'm researching, in this arena, is to make the connectivity between the life stages, the mentoring, and the gender. And for this particular research, my focus is on mentees to be female and mentor to be male. So the obvious question that may pop up is why this cross-gender focus? Because we know that, especially for females, same gender tends to be more effective. So why focus on cross-gender? The reason for my focus has to do with working with adult women in our MBA program, and also looking at the research. It's obvious that if you look at S&P 500, 45% of the labor force is women. But by the time you go up the food chain, there is a major dilution. The drop is a factor of 10. The number of CEOs in the S&P 500 companies are about 4%. And so now you look at the difference at the different levels in the organization between men and women. It is about 10% at the workforce level, at the bottom level of the pyramid. By the time you get to the top, it's over 90%. And thus, one would obviously come to the conclusion that there's not enough senior level woman mentors. So even though maybe ideally it would be better for a same gender, for a female mentee, but the challenge one faces is there are not enough, unfortunately, at this point. It is also beneficial for the shareholders. I mean, if you look at the data from Fortune 1000, if you look at it, the 80 women CEOs, companies outperformed S&P 500. They were 226% better. So obviously shareholder can see the benefit. So it is an important topic. Majority, important for both individuals and for the companies and the HR managers. Over 50% of the college graduates are women. Turnover is much higher at the large corporation. Compared to men, more women choose to leave work for family reasons, to take care of the children and adults that may need help in their family. So they may either leave the workforce or in many cases put a pause on their career and the priorities change. And when they do come back, want to get full-fledged into the career, the re-entry does get a bit challenging. So mentoring can play a role. Mentoring can significantly help individuals in their careers, especially for women. Mentoring, while beneficial to both genders, may be even more important for women as women struggle to climb the ranks, especially when they come back. Now, mentoring can be a formal mentoring or informal mentoring. Formal mentoring is where the company management, the HR function may assign a mentor, and the research has shown that formal mentoring does not work as well as informal mentoring. Partly could be because of the dynamics, partly could be there was no real thought behind the matching and so on. So informal mentoring processes work better for women, but again, unfortunately, there are not enough women in the senior management ranks. And again, women find more barriers when it comes to finding informal mentoring. The other thing to also look at is mentoring has two broad categories: your career functions and psychosocial functions. The career functions include sponsorship, providing exposure, giving challenging assignments, protection from politics, things that obviously understanding how to play the game. Psychosocial functions, on the other hand, is more holistic. It is the level of acceptance, the counseling, the friendship, helping somebody balance their lives as they're going through their journey in their careers. And the reason that is important is it ties in with the stage process of, in this case, a female mentee, which is more important. Again, it's a function of one's life stages or career stages. So if you think of it from a career stage perspective, then if here it is, the life stages, from Levinson's work that was done. Thing I found very intriguing, that in his work he talks about stages and he focused in the area of age between 35 and 45. But thing that I found very intriguing, his analysis and his deep discussion on the transition phase, especially the midlife transition phase, past age 40. His stages are that person goes through, in this case male go through different stages of life, but there is a period of transition before they transition into the next level. Like in the case of around 40, 45, they go through the middle life transition. And according to Levinson, that there is a major transition in a male priorities as he sees his life differently as he is getting older. But the transition takes place not over a month or a two or a year. The transition takes place over a few years. Now that is important because a mentor, in order to be a good mentor, needs to be confident and not feel threatened by protege's success in the organization. Because if the mentor is concerned about his own career, then his ability to be consistently support his protege may get affected in a negative way. So in that area, author says that the experience during this midlife transition makes him a much more able to foster and help other adults. And the punchline is that he is now looking at his life and he wants to give something back. And furthermore, it becomes more developed for mentoring relationship with women. Cram has said similar things. She has said that it makes no sense to seek a relationship with a senior member who is too focused on his own career. Again, if a senior person sees a limited opportunity for himself, again, he will not be a great mentor as far as his commitment to help his protege. And that a mentoring relationship can be very destructive when a senior adult enters the midlife transition, which means the period of transition, coming on the other side, a person is more holistic, more selfless, but in the period of before getting into it, he is going through, in some ways, a little bit of confusion in his own mind. So at this point, I would basically, take a pause and say that, I argue that a male would be a much better mentor post this midlife transition, more into the late 40s, into the early time frame. Now, from a career stage for a woman, from a mentee perspective, I am using the Kaleidoscope model developed by Monero and Sullivan. Here, there are 3 parameters that serve as a guidepost. And the whole idea for this model is that there is a connectivity, there is an interplay between work and family, that one has to look at it more holistically, the career stages of a person. And the 3 parameters are authenticity, balance, and challenge. And the model basically is that all 3 are present. It is not that a person is not authentic. The question really is, depending at some point, that the importance of one parameter over the others is a relative importance of one over the other, especially between the authenticity and balance versus the challenge. And the function of the life cycle, function of work and non-work priorities, and also an element of gender. For example, in the work they did in 2005, they pointed out that the challenge, balance, and authenticity, over the time changes. So here, I'll get into the hypothesis. So our hypothesis is that if a mentee, a woman, in this, in our study, if the authenticity is higher than challenge or balance is higher than challenge, then the mentee in those 2 situations will get more benefit from an older male versus a younger male mentor, especially in the psychosocial mentoring function. Whereas for the challenge, they will get potentially more out of a younger person who is still in the game of playing the politics and so on. So our hypothesis is looking to see the mentees stages and comparing into the overall mentoring benefits. Also, again, looking at the mentoring stages and comparing it to the subsets of the career benefits, which is the psychosocial versus the career mentoring. So now, as far as the survey instruments to do the research or the survey, I am using the mentoring questionnaire index developed by Riggins and Cotton, and for the career stage will be the ABC model, the KCM model developed by Sullivan and Monero. And the questions that are in those survey, and again, I don't plan to go through the detail here, is they are clustered around 3 elements of the ABC model. And in the case of the mentoring instruments, they are clustered around different categories, and those different categories then align with either a psychosocial function or a career function. So the target audience through the survey that I am ready to launch is our MBA University graduate program. The 4 programs that I will be surveying are listed here. These working adults, 25 to 50 age group, but average is around 35. 80+% are women in our graduate program, and they represent various industries and various job functions. Using the survey Google form, I created the Google form. I tested it out with our colleagues at Bay Path University just to see how the mechanics would work and what the data would look like on the other end. I further looked at it to fine-tune it. I met and discussed the research with many of my colleagues, some at work, some outside work, and to further fine-tune it, and the survey control variables are updated, and expect to complete this survey and the analysis sometime this month. So I hope this is, thanks again for your time, and I would be happy to answer any questions that you may have.